Hi everyone and welcome to the channel, and welcome to another episode of Learning FreeCAD for Beginners, where we teach the fundamentals of FreeCAD from a beginner's perspective. Today we're going to be looking at a part design workflow across multiple files. So a box like this with additional features within, and this box contains a separate lid as well. You can see we've got threading, we've got these features to stop the box from misaligning where we're screwing the lid onto the box. We've got the stem to hold the thread, and on the bottom we've got the holes to allow for the bolt to sink into the material and the thread to pass through the material. We're going to be creating this across two files. So we're going to use one file for the box and one file for the lid. And then we're going to finish by assembling them together. We're going to be learning about subshape binders and also the hole subtractive feature to allow us to add a hole with threading into our models. So I hope you're enjoying this series, and let's have a look at this workflow.
If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the site. I also have a Ko-Fi or a coffee site that you can donate to if you so desire, and that's at ko-fi.com/MANG0. I also run a Patreon where you can subscribe and get extra content, and that's at www.patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions.
So to start with FreeCAD, I'm going to be using the part design workflow. So I'm going to come over to the part design. We could use a part, but the part design automatically fuses pads and pockets together, making our workflow a lot quicker. The first thing I'm going to do is create a body. So we can create a body, and then we'll create a sketch. We can start along the XY plane. And okay, so we're modeling the box from the top down. I'm going to be using a rectangle, but I'm going to be using the rounded rectangle. This means that my box has rounded size automatically. We could use, say, a normal rectangle from here and then use the fillet tool to round those sides off, but we've got that tool there, so we might as well use it because it's available. Press the right mouse button to get the mouse pointer back. And I'm going to take the inner 2 points and place those symmetrical to the center using the symmetry constraint. And now I've got to add some length and height in here. So I'm going to take these 2 points and set a height of 50 millimeters. And we're going to take these 2 points here and set a length of 100 millimeters. We also need to set the radius. Let's just pull these out to the left and to the top. And the radius here, I'm going to select the radius of this curve. Now you can see they've got all equality constraints around there. So setting one will set them all. And we'll constrain the radius. And I'm just going to give that a radius of 10 millimeters. So we've got our curved box. Let's hit close. The next operation we need to do is make sure that the sketch is selected and use the pad operation. And I'm going to pad this to 30 millimeters. Hit enter and we've got our pad. The next thing I'm going to do is hollow out this pad by selecting the top. Selected the top face with a single selection. If I double click, we've selected the whole body. So just select the top, selected that face, and we're going to come up to part design, apply dress up, and I'm going to use the thickness option. The thickness option is also available up here, and the thickness option creates thickness to those walls. We're going to make the thickness inwards, and we'll set the thickness to something like 3 millimeters. You can see we've got the thickness there. We've got mode types as well. So we've got skin, which I'm using at the moment. We've got a join type of arc or intersection. With this one, it's not going to matter because we're just going to leave it on arc there. If this was a straight box with straight sides, then we normally would change this to get different effects. That's it, okay. And now we have part of our box. I'm going to add the fixtures on here to allow the lid of the box to be screwed onto this base. So I'm going to select the face within the thickness, I selected the bottom face there, and we're going to create a sketch. From there, I'm going to create a number of circles, but I'm going to import some geometry, and I'm going to import the outer geometry, this curve here, and the bottom one. So we've got those two imported. Come up to the circle and create a circle in here and one down the bottom. So we've got those two circles there, you can see them in there. We'll set some diameter to both these circles by clicking them both and add in constraint on the diameter. You can set those to 8mm and close that. So we're only doing one side because I'm going to mirror it over the other because this is symmetrical, so I don't need to sketch those both into place. Now I've got those in there, I could use a symmetry against this with a mirror because we have a symmetrical model. But for the amount I'm doing in here, I might as well just come back in and import these curves and just add to this sketch. So I'm just going to import the curves here and just do the same, add some circles in here. There's many ways of creating the box. You could go for a fully symmetrical model by just going through the center, but I've decided to create it as one. Press the right mouse button to get the mouse pointer back, and I'm going to select both of these and also select this one and make them equal. Now we've got those in there, let's close and we can pad these. So we're going to hit the pad with the sketch selected, and we want to pad them the height of this box. So we could use just placing the length in here, but I'm going to use a formula. And if I type in pad, which was our pad.length, this will give the length of our pad, but we also need to minus off the thickness with a dot and value. That gives us 27mm. You can type in 27mm in there if you want. Hit OK, and that's been added to there. Now if we look back, if I hit OK, you can see what we've done. We've used the pad.length, so this one here. Press the spacebar on that. You can see we've got that box there, and we've got a length of 10mm. Then we created the thickness, which is a value of 3mm. So it has a 3mm base here as well. So we've got that one, so we just minus the thickness off of that pad. And if I click on the last one, press the spacebar, and you've seen the green on the tip. That's our last action. I'm not going to add the holes to these yet. Now the reason being is because I want to use those holes with a thread. I'm going to be using the hole, so the hole tool here, and that will model the thread. But the thread takes a little while to model in there, and also you're adding more faces. So we're going to do that as our very last operation to save on time and the topological issues that may occur. So we're going to save this body, save as, and I'm going to place it within a new folder. So I'm just going to name this box demo. Within this folder, I'm just going to name this box body. So this is the first part of the box. So if I wanted to create a lid in here, what I would do is actually use part of this geometry in Shape Binder. I'll be using the Subshape Binder, but I'm going to be doing something a little bit different with this one. What you can do is keep it on the same file and create a binder in here by selecting this face and the faces of these stems or stalks, and create a binder, and that will be placed in the active body. So at the moment we don't have an active body. If I create a new body and say this would be the lid, then I can't actually create a sketch in here, XY plane, and OK that, and pull in this geometry for the actual lid, because to save time I would want to pull in this curve here and this curve here and just create the same rectangle against that for the lid, but in a separate body. And you can see that I can't roll over that. It's saying the object belongs to another body, can't link. To allow me to link that, to allow me to pull in that geometry, I need to create a subshape binder of this. So if I create a subshape binder, you see it's been placed into that active body. Therefore, I can hide the original body, leaving that subshape binder there. And when I go back into my sketch, I can pull in these arcs. So I can pull in opposite arcs and create my rectangle against there to create the lid. This is all well and good, but I want to keep some separation between the files. So you may want to keep the files separate, one for the lid, one for the body. You may want to do it in this way. I'm going to create the files separately. So let's get rid of that body and its contents. So all we got in here is the pad, and let's bring back the body by pressing the space bar. So we've got the pad in there, and this is the body. Let's create a new file, and I'm going to save it straight away. So our file, save as, I'm going to save it into the same directory, and we can call this box lid. So we've got the box lid in there. I'm going to create a body. So we've got the body of that box lid ready to go. The two files are open. So you can see the two tabs down here. Now this sequence matters the way you actually select these. First go to the box body, and we're going to select the faces that we want. So I want to use this face, and I'm going to control select the faces of these stems or the stalks. So we've got those selected. Now without clicking on anything else so it deselects, we need to keep those selected, but come down and select the tab of the lid. Make sure you don't select anything, so don't click anywhere in this space. If we go back to that box body, those are still selected. So you can see those are still selected there. Let's go to the box lid. And it's important that you use the tabs and not the tree view for this operation. With those still selected, click on the subshape binder or part design, create a sub-object shape binder. The binder is created in that new document. And you can see the binder there, and it's been placed within that active body, that body of that lid. And if we go back to the box body, you can see what's happened. Now if I come into the box body and say change the sketch underneath, we'll observe what happens in the box lid. So for instance, let's double click on that sketch and change the 8mm diameter stalks or the circles to say 2mm and close that. When we come back to the box lid, you can see we've got a tick there. That means it needs refreshing. Edit, refresh, or use your shortcut key. Mine's Control R. If you're on Windows, it'd be something else. And you can see after refreshing, that's changed. So there's a link between these two files. And I'm just going to change that sketch constraint. If I come down to the constraints, we can change it from here as well. And we're going to set that to 6mm. Come back, you can see the tick there. Hit Control R to refresh it. Windows, it'd be something else, same with Mac. And you can see that's been refreshed. So we linked a shape binder across those files. Now I can start modeling the lid. And this is the more complex of the two. Let's create a new sketch in that body for that lid and place it along the XY plane, and OK. The shape binder will be sitting above the sketch. This is absolutely fine because I want to pull in some geometry, and it will be projected onto that sketch. So let's use the geometry tool, external geometry tool, and pull in this curve. You can see it there, and this curve. Just going to pull those in for the starts, and I'm going to use a rectangle box against there. This point we may want to use the section view or sketch view section. So that clears our view away from the shape binder. And we can start using something like a rounded rectangle and place the rounded rectangle in here. Hit escape to get the mouse pointer back, right mouse button, and use these 2 points. See I've pulled in opposite sides. Point on point constraint or coincident constraint, those 2 points. Coincident constraint, and finally we're going to take this curve and this curve, the one we imported, and make those equal. So that's equaling their radius. We get a fully constrained sketch. So now we've got our sketch. Let's close that, and we're going to pad that by something like 3mm. So we've created our lid, but we're not finished yet. We're going to create another sketch upon here and create a sketch. And I'm going to use the subshape binder again, but this time we're going to add the features that help this lid to stay in place. So if I look from the top, we've got the subshape binder here, and I'm going to pull in these lines and these circles and create the features against this around about 0.5mm away from here. So we have a little feature that keeps this lid in place. So let's use the import geometry, and I'm going to import this inner edge and this inner edge and also the circles. We're only going to do one side because we're going to be using mirroring. And now I'm going to use the section view or sketch view section, so we get rid of that shape binder. So I'm going to use a rectangle, so standard rectangle, and I'm going to place a rectangle here and here, and these are going to be padded, but they're also going to sit 0.5mm away from this point. So this point and this point, we're going to set a height of 0.5. Also, I'm going to set a height here of around 2mm and a length of 25mm. So at the moment this is still mobile, and we can decide where this is going to go. I might change the dimensions of these in a moment. So let's just pull these out, and 2mm might be too much here. Let's go for something like 1.5mm. And we can set some distance away from this point, or we'll use this point and this point. Set some distance away and set that to 10mm. So it's up to you where you place this. This is just to help position the lid when we add the screws through the holes. Let's come up to the top one, and we're going to use the points and keep those in line, and the same with this point. So we don't have to worry about length, so this will stay still now, but it still allows for the height. So I'm going to take this line and this line, zoom in, those two, select those two and make those equal. And the last thing we have to do is set the distance away of 0.5mm. So got those in there. We also need to do the same with importing the line in this side. So I'm just going to zoom out a bit and use the section view so I can see this again and import this inside edge. So using the import tool, grab that inside edge, that projects it onto the sketch, use the section view to get rid of it, and do the same. So I'm going to use the rectangle, add a rectangle in here, and we'll set the length of this side equal to the length of this side, or the height of this side, equals, and I'm going to make this symmetrical. So I'll take these 2 points and this line and use the symmetry constraint. Let's get rid of the redundant constraint because we've got a vertical constraint in there, and delete that. And now let's set some distance away again. These 2 points, distance away 0.5mm, and we'll set some length of 15mm. Now we've got these, we're going to do the same with this circle. So if you think about what's happening, is that with our box body, this one here, this is going to come down, and I want this to be inside some kind of structure to keep it still, adding strength to it and making our life easier when we're screwing the box onto the top. So let's come back to the box lid, and what we're going to do is I'm going to add a point to this circle. And I'm going to take that point and keep it in line with this point. Get those in line, like so. That means I can use this point to set some distance away. So I want this, again, something like 0.5 millimeters away from this point here. So let's add the circle. And again, I need to add a point onto the circle and take this point and keep it in line with this point. So using the constrain horizontal. So we've got those in there. And now I can come in and take these 2 points and set a length in here of 0.5 millimeters. That keeps that 0.5 millimeters away there. You can adjust this to what you want, but I'm just going for 0.5 there. And we'll add another circle. And this will create the outside wall of this feature. And again, add a point. Escape, take this point and the center point. Keep those in line, horizontal constraint. And then take this one and this one, and we can set the distance away from there. I'm going to set this to 1 millimeter. So we've got that in there. Now what we can do is do the same on the other side, but all we need to do is take 2 circles, one for the inner, one for the outer. Take the inner one side, and the inner one at the top, make those equal, and then take the outer one and the outer one here and make those equal. So that's being constrained with the diameter that's being calculated through placing some point geometry on here and setting them some distance away. Let's close that now. It's fully constrained and we've got these features on this box. Click on the sketch and use the pad. You can see we're padding those features now. Now we just need to pad those a little way, so I'm going to pad those 2 millimeters and have a look, see what that looks like. So you can see we've got those in there. And it's up to you if you want to drop this to say 1 millimeter, then that's fine. So we've got that feature there. I'm now going to come over to the other side and sketch on this face, and this is where we're going to place the holes. Select the bottom face, again create a sketch, and we'll add some angle to this and have a look, see what we got. And I'm going to pull in this geometry here, so I'm going to pull in these holes again using the external geometry. Pull in these 2 circles, hit the right mouse button to get the mouse pointer back. If this is getting in the way, this face here, come into the model and just click on that pad and press the space bar. So we're just dealing with the sketch. I don't need to do that, so I'm going to press the space bar again just to bring it back. So now I'm thinking about the shaft of the bolt or the screw that's going to go in here. I'm going to create 2 holes and pocket them. So the first hole I'm going to pocket all the way through, and that's going to be the size of the bolt. The second hole is going to be the size of the bolt head. So it's allowing it to be inset into this material. I'm going to set both of these circles diameter of 2 millimeters. Go over to task, hit close, and we're just going to pocket that through using the pocket, and we'll set it going through all. It's gone all the way through and out the other side. Okay, that. And now we'll create another sketch on top of that, new sketch. And this is not going to go all the way through, but what we're just going to do is pull in these circles, external geometry, like so. This gives us the points to place the circles upon. Add a circle. Going for the bottom, coincident to that center. We've got the auto constraints on, so we just roll over and it's coincident to that center. And we'll take these 2 Control select those and set the diameter. Now this is going to be the bolt head, so we'll say 4mm on there. It's got to be slightly bigger than the bolt head. Let's close that. Now we've got those in there. Let's pocket that and set this to around about 1.5mm. So what we've done is allowed for the bolt to sit in there. So the bolt body goes through the hole and the bolt head sits within here. So what we've done is created a number of features through pads. And if I press the spacebar, you can see what that is. So we can see we've just got the top pad there. We've got the pocket, the hole going all the way through, and the other pocket, this one here, that for the bolt head. I'm going to mirror all three of these features. Make sure you save as you go along. So I'm going to select the first feature I want to mirror, which is the pad. Control select the next one, and then the pocket. So I selected all three of those features. No need to select this one, because if I press the spacebar on that, it's just the rectangle that's been padded. It's the features along the left hand side which I want to mirror, these three. Select all of those and come up to Part Design, apply a pattern and mirrored. Also available from the toolbar here. You can see what's happened. The mirrored parameters are the pad, the pocket and the pocket 001, which we've selected. And you can see how they've been mirrored across to the other side. And you can see what axis it's being used, the vertical sketch axis. If I change that, then it's going to be mirrored in a different direction, which is not the direction we want. So we can just change that vertical sketch axis. You can see those there. So it's mirrored on both sides. That's okay, that's. So we've got our basically finished lid. So our lid is finished. The thing that we're missing is the threading and the holes on the other side, so on the box side. I'm just going to hide the binder in here and save this. Let's come over to the box body. And I'm going to create holes against these here. Again, I'm going to create a sketch on there and I'm going to mirror it across. So take one of the faces of those stalks and create a sketch. I'm going to import the geometry of that circle there using external geometry. Click on it, import it there. We import the other one as well because we need that. And then I'm going to create two circles just inside. Make sure you don't touch anything, because otherwise you can end up placing those tangent to this circle. So if I try that, come into the center and I touch that circle there, you can see you've got tangency coming up and it'll come up as over constrained, and we don't want that. So I'm going to select that and hit delete, and we'll make sure that those circles are okay. So those are okay. And with the hole, it doesn't matter about the size of the circle, because the hole tool actually allows you to specify that hole. So we take the circle and the outer circle and make those equal. It doesn't seem right, but when you see the next step, you'll see what's happening. Make those equal. So we've got those sketches on there. Let's hit close. We're going to be using this tool here with the selected sketch, the hole. So the sketch is selected and we select the hole. We'll come up to Part Design. This is a subtractive feature and click hole. Those have vanished, and if we look at what's happened, it's all to do with the diameter. So we can reduce this diameter down to whatever diameter we want. Now if you're using a non-threaded technique to place these together, so if you're using a screw or you're creating your own threads in there, then this is where you set your diameter. So if you've got a tool to tap out those threads, then you can use that. What I want to do is use the profile and select one of these profiles for a standard thread. So I'm going to go ISO metric regular profile, and I'm going to click threaded. We've got the direction of the thread using the right hand thread, and now I can select what size I want. So I can go up to an M2, and you can see those have been increased in size, M3, etc. So I'm going to go for an M4 thread, like so. Now, if I wanted this to 3D print, we click on model thread as well. Nothing's happened as of yet. I can click update view, but this is the reason why I'm doing this last, because this is the last action that I'm going to apply to this box, because it takes a little while to do, and also it's going to create a number of faces for those threads. I can click update view to see what it looks like, but I'm quite happy with that. The other thing that I want to watch out for is the depth. So we've got the depth there. So we can go through all or just dimension. And I'm going to set the depth to 15 millimeters. So now we've got all the parameters in there. If I hit OK, what I have to do is just wait a little while for those threads to render. Once they're rendered, then what you'll see, if I zoom in, you can see we've got the threading inside there. So that's the last action. Well, I say last action. All we need to do now is take the hole and use a mirror to mirror it over to the other side. So selected the feature that I want to mirror. And this time I'm going to be using the mirrored from the toolbar, and this will mirror it over to the other side like so. And we hit OK. Again, this may take a little while because of the threading. And we've got the threading on both sides. So we've got our simple box with threaded mounts, and also we've got the box lid. This one here. Now at this point I've realized that the holes in here are the wrong diameters. So let's go back to where those holes were created. So we've got that pocket there, the pocket. And so it's going to be in here. If I double click on that sketch, we've got those holes in there, 2 millimeters. So we can just set these to 3 millimeters or whatever size our threading is. So we'll close that and bring back the mirrored. We can see that's taken effect. And we just match those holes to our box body mirrored and whatever size this threading is. So we come back to the hole and you can see we've got the threading here. So we've got a size of M4, and I'm just going to drop this down to an M3 and click off. This will recalculate, so we have to wait a little while. Remember that we've got the hole and the mirror to recalculate. This is the reason why we do it last, and we've got that in there. All set to go. But you've got the freedom to adjust those holes if you want. So for instance, I can come back in and just change this to 3.5 or 3.2 to add a little extra to that and close that, and everything will recalculate. So we've got the lid and the body. When we save that, hit Control S, and if we change items across both those documents, then it will save both of them together. So those are both saved now. So what do these look like together? Well, we could use an assembly workbench to put those together, or what I'm going to do is use the link feature. Now this allows you to link in objects into a new document or the same document. It's the same process as what we did with the shape binder. Let's create a new document, and I'm just going to save it, file save as, and call it box assembly. And we'll come into the box body, this one here, and I'm going to select the body. So just click on that body, and it's the same process. Make sure that we've got the body selected, come over to the box assembly tab, make sure we don't click anything in this view, and come up to this link icon here, make link. That pulls that in from that document. And you can see on the left hand side we've got the body there. So we click on that and have a look down. You can see we've got some information on where it's come from. So the tip is mirrored. We can see it's part of a group of sketch pad thickness, etc., etc. That's come over to the box lid, and do the same. Click on the box lid body and then click on the box assembly tab, must be the tab, and click the link. So we've got the lid and the body. What we can do now in this file, I'm just going to save it, is I'm going to take that lid, right click, transform, and I can move that about and flip it over. Let's get the right one, this one here, and see what that's going to look like against the body. Let's bring that in there. That's okay, that. And the good thing is that we got transparency as well, so I can click on this mirrored, well, let's click the body. You can see all the links within there to all the different items. Click on the body, come down to the view, and let's have a look, see what we got. So we've got shape, color, etc, etc, and I'm going to set the transparency to 80, so we can see in there, and we can see what's going on inside. So you can see the thread in there, you can see the stalk that holds that thread and how it sits in that feature inside there, and you can see these features and how far away they are from the edge. And any adjustments that we do to the part design models will get reflected in that link. So it's a quick way of putting an assembly together and seeing how it all fits together. You can export these. So if I go File, Export, or use the Mesh workbench, they export as an STL. So we can actually export those straight from that box assembly to allow for 3D printing. If I select both of them and export, then we select both of them together and export them out as a component part in the STL. So you can see we got full control with the shape binders and the link to get an idea of what our model looks like and to construct our model across multiple files. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope to see you again soon.
If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the site. I also have a Ko-Fi or a coffee site that you can donate to if you so desire, and that's at ko-fi.com/MANG0. I also run a Patreon where you can subscribe and get extra content, and that's at www.patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Any money that's kindly donated will be used to expand the channel. Thanks a lot for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you again soon.